shirt. It is just about 1 o'clock. Now, the original Hug Nation was always on Tuesday. When I hosted with Grandpa, it was always on a Tuesday. So in some ways, this is an homage. Been doing it on Monday for the last couple of years. That worked better when I had a job. Now I don't have a job, or I should say I don't have a office job. I am now employed, self-employed, pursuing magic and purpose. And I'm feeling very excited about that. So in this special Hug Nation, before we get too far along, let's just take a moment and get present. Just close your eyes for a second and tune into your body and just become aware of the sensations and the sounds, letting yourself experience the now moment, noticing the difference in experiencing the now as opposed to living in thought, living in a narrative, living in a to-do list. You can revisit that list and narrative as soon as we just recalibrate. So we recalibrate, feel our bodies. Thank you, universe, for all of the gifts of this now moment. Help us to appreciate all the blessings. Amen. Welcome. Oh, you know what? I need to do this so I can see. There we go. Now I can see if there's people in the Periscope. Welcome. I will apologize in advance. I have a hard time seeing all the Periscope comments. But I'm going to first talk for a second, and then I'll tune more back into chat. Same is true with the Hangout. There right now is a Google Hangout and a Periscope video, as well as a DSLR archive. One way or another, this will be broadcast or recorded. So before I go to the topics of today, I want to talk about my morning. Gave a keynote. Then I got to meet Beck's Life. And then I want to talk a little bit about suicide. It's Suicide Prevention Month, and I'm hearing a bunch of people, or seeing a bunch of people post about it. And rather than copy paste something about that or repost an old video that I've done about it, I just wanted to maybe spend a few minutes and get into it a little bit. So first, this morning, I got to give a keynote speech to the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Paula, and it was awesome. They had seen me speak to the Ventura Chamber of Commerce and asked if I would come talk. And when we met to talk about the talk, they actually said, you know, it'd be great if you could come visit our facility and meet the kids. And I was like, oh, really? Meet the kids? I am the talent. No, I didn't say that. But so I did make a schedule to go see the kids, and was really blown away. And it was I'm going to try to do something like that as much as possible in the future, because being able to make the talk personal and integrate it into like people I met, and it was awesome. And the purpose of this talk was a fundraiser. So I really feel like I connected with people in a deep way, and I hope it helps their efforts, because it was an amazing facility and amazing kids and amazing staff. And I hit it out of the park this morning. Got a full room standing ovation, which, you know, I'm allowed to have a little bit of ego strokes every once in a while, right? A little like kind of feel the warm fuzzies. It felt awesome. And then posed with people taking selfies for like 10 minutes afterwards. And it was a kick. It was also a kick how many people were like, you know what? I saw a video on Facebook this week. I thought that was you. Anyway, it was really cool, and I think really encouraging. You know, before I started this chapter, I was really hoping that to increase the amount of speaking that I get to do. And you know, the first professional gig that I did in this new chapter went amazing, and had people there, you know, give me their cards and say, I want to help connect you with other opportunities. And I think I know some places that would love to have you speak. And so I'm feeling super happy and cool. Next, I wanted to just touch base and say, had one of the viral nature of the Grandpa story video has had all sorts of cool things. And one of them is that I'm connecting with people and being asked to speak on people's podcasts, and the first person that reached out and said, I'd love to, you know, have you on my show, is a woman named Rebecca. Her site is Beck's Life. And if you search Beck's Life, it comes right up. she just does YouTube and Periscope and has an awesome Facebook group. And anyway, I got the invite, said, I'm sure, before I even really knew who that was, talked to Belicious, and she's like, oh, Beck's Life is awesome. And I started looking through her site and her videos and her about, and this woman is super inspiring. One place that said 4 kids, one place that said 5 kids, mother of, I don't know, mother of more than a lot, as well as yoga instructor, dietary, and just this joy that comes through. She's like someone who's trying to teach through inspiring and trying to share her path and the joy that she feels through her health. And it's just like, as I'm going through this, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. This is like, I've been looking for more people like this, and the internet is filled with so much that it's hard to find the ones that resonate. And it was like, how perfect that this person reached out to me, because this is like, it's so vibrationally in alignment with what I would like to be connecting to. And I'd like to be referring people to her, and like to, because I think there's so much, so many things that she can help with that I cannot. But if someone is being helped by something that I've done, there's a good chance that they're going to resonate with something that she's done. But at the same time, we're so incredibly different. She said that during, we just did this interview that was so fun, and don't want to, retell the things that we talked about, because it's going to come out next week and I hope everybody watches it. But she, she said, I'm live in a rural town. I mean, she's got videos of her and her, her basically a small farm with chickens and animals and raising all these kids, and like not the same life that I lead. Like, and at one point she brought up how cool that the internet was, that we were able to like discover one another, and also kind of able to share these circles. Like the people that we come into contact with in the world are probably not the same. And the more that I was thinking about it, I'm like, but isn't that so flippin' cool? That, yeah, if you, on the surface, if you look at the labels that we wear, and the identities that we have in the world, and the way that we look, and the way that we are judged and seen in the world, we don't have a lot of overlap, unless you sit down with each of us and then you go, oh yeah, you are both people seeking. You're both people that are growing. You're both people who have found delight in sharing the story of your life, and it lights you up to have that sharing inspire others. Both of you are of service. Both of you are sharing your gifts. And in some ways I had this feeling of, as we were talking and as we were kind of aware of this, like, isn't that just this cool reminder of how much more alike we are than we are different? And that how when we let go of the appearance and the labels of, mom, Burning Man, city, rural, conservative, freaky deaky, whatever, but when you strip it all away and you just breathe and sit and look into each other's eyes, it's like, yeah, right. We want the same things. We want the same feelings. We certainly want the same happiness and joy and safety for the people we love, and sense of peace and contentment for ourselves. And the fact that her narrative and the way that she has chosen to live is so vastly different from the way that I have is awesome. It means you have these multiple examples of the right way to live, to be happy. I just think that's so cool. I mean, one of the things that I loved about my first few Burning Mans is that it snapped me out of this thought process that there's this limited number of ways to live. Growing up, I thought, white collar job, blue collar job, stay at home dad. Like, these are my 3 choices of my 3 options of a grown up man in our culture. And then I went to Burning Man and saw, oh my gosh, there's an infinite number. I thought it was freeway lanes, and actually life is a lake and you can go wherever you want. And so the more people that shine their light brightly and attract the attention of other bright lights, the more powerful and the more encouraging and the deeper our repertoire of tools are, the more we can feel like our path is right and perfect. Sometimes we're very strong and no matter what, that you are on the right track. Sometimes doubt creeps in and you start to go, should I be chasing the things that they're chasing? Should I be doing this? And the more people, the more examples we have of happy people living loving lives in their purpose, the more beautiful. So super honored and excited to meet Beck's life and super excited to be able to have a recorded conversation that's going to go live next week. And super excited just about that, the momentum of that. And I hope I get to meet more and more people, not just people that make it their purpose to broadcast and have YouTube channels. Like I think that I don't want to give the impression that that is the correct route of someone who is in their truth. Like it actually is very tempting. And sometimes I have to like bite my tongue when I run into someone who is very recently like waking up and they're like, oh my gosh, I realized, like I want to spread light in the world. And so their next thought is, that means I want to be a teacher. I want to give lectures. And I'm like, awesome. Like, make sure you wrap that in a little bit of humility because, you've been on this path for 2 months and like, I agree. You should be speaking your truth. Just be aware that it probably feels like an absolute truth right now. And it's actually a sliver of truth. It's a valid sliver, but I hope that's how, and I hope that, that maybe after walking that path, you go, oh, I'm supposed to share this truth, not from a stage, but from a body working platform or from an accounting platform. Every time we have an opportunity to interact with other human beings, we have an opportunity to spread our ministry of love, our role modeling of behavior and philosophy. And I think that that's also something that can be a tricky thing when someone is brand new to the recognizing that they want to share light in the world. Is you can't just tell stories and repeat passages from books that you find inspiring. I think that you really have to spend energy and time walking the walk so that you can kind of root those lessons and ideas and understand the challenges and the humanity of it all. And I say that as someone who I try and I hope and I believe that the powerful way of sharing the journey and spreading light is from that place of a little bit of humility. You wouldn't think it from knowing me, or wait, you wouldn't think it from seeing me, or maybe you wouldn't know it from thinking me. Okay, I can be pretty bold at times, and I think that that's part of the beauty too. Is when you're bright, shine on. When you're dim, have faith, and know that there's lots of people shining their lights too. All right. So I also wanted to share a little bit, and thanks to everybody who's tuned in. I'll be doing casual chat once I kind of finish this initial thoughts, and it's easier for me to just kind of spew the thoughts out, and then we'll have a little bit of ramble. So thanks for your patience. Um, um, According to the Facebook post that I am seeing often today, this week is Suicide Prevention Month or Suicide Awareness Month or Suicide Something Month. And so I wanted to spend a minute or two talking about suicide. And I want to first acknowledge that I am not anti-suicide. I am a believer in the right to die, and I'm a believer in the freedom of the individual to take control over their consciousness, over their very life. And I think that there are times when the choice to no longer be a conscious being on this planet and this plane of existence is an absolutely valid choice. In fact, it's something that I think about more frequently than I probably admit. To me, the thought of suicide, the thought of death can be a very powerful recalibrator and anchor for me when I'm struggling. Because sometimes I feel like life sucks. I suck. I've messed this up. I'm stuck here. I'm always going to be like this. This is always going to be that way. And I just can't do it anymore, and, or to make the changes would just be too hard. And so if I entertain the concept of ending my life, then I'm able to go to this next phase that I find so helpful. I think, okay, before you take all options away, before you end everything, before you eliminate every human experience possible and cease existing as a human, what are some possible things that you might want to try before you finally give up? It's like all of a sudden there are so many things that I've never done, and so many places I've never gone, so many things that, like, well, gosh, I guess I don't have any tattoos. Maybe I should, before I decide that I'm done living, maybe I'll tattoo my face. Maybe I'll get a one-way ticket to an island. Maybe I will dedicate my life to if I'm ready to die, then all I need to do is dedicate the next week to some charity, or, give all my favorite things to some kid. I mean, the list gets massive. And I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, I've been sitting here eating this dish of food, my life experiences, at this incredible restaurant that serves everything. And I've decided I don't like this food anymore. I guess I'm never going to eat again. Well, try some other stuff. And sometimes it's that pondering of suicide that snaps me out of my feeling of being trapped and goes, oh, wait a minute. I just don't like what I perceive to be my choices right now. With a little bit of work, I can jump out of this. And there might be consequences. I might hurt someone's feelings. I might be disliked by someone, but small price to pay to get a facial tattoo, or whatever the crazy notion that I used to think was crazy, but in the context of nothing seems silly and fun and whimsical. So I embrace the idea of suicide as a valid idea to ponder. Alan Watts said that that's the fundamental question of all philosophy: is the game worth the candle? Is it worth it to go on? And everything else is kind of secondary. So all that being said, I don't believe that most people who are deciding to end their lives are doing so from a place of, okay, I've tried everything. I've done everything I want to do. I'm now in pain, or I've thought this through in a very logical way of sound mind and body, and I decided that I'm done with this lifetime. It's given me everything I wanted. Way, way too often it is a byproduct of depression and mental illness of some sort. I was medicated for depression and anxiety for over 10 years. So I do not minimize or belittle the condition of depression and the power of that chemical imbalance on your thoughts and your reality. If you have never been depressed, it is very hard to understand, and it is very hard not to hand wave it and say, just snap out of it, pull yourself out of your bootstraps, whatever. And it's very hard. If you have ever been there, you can understand why suicide can be so tempting and seems like it's a realistic option, because you cannot, when you are depressed, you do not think, oh, I feel depressed. I feel like I have a funk. There is a cloud over me. That's not it. You think the world sucks. I suck. Everything is terrible. You see the difference there? You're not aware that there is a reason between the awesomeness of the world and you that's causing you to feel badly. You conclude with absolute certainty that life is terrible. So if you are in that pondering of suicide state, yes, Valid thought. Please consider it and think about how that can open up other paths and choices for you. But next, get some third party to have a little bit of a look see at you and your mindset and the way that you are making choices and acting and see, are you coming from a place of brain illness? Because it's absolutely real. If you find yourself saying things like, this always happens, this never happens, that's a good sign that you are not thinking clearly. Nothing always happens or never happens. And if you're arguing with me right now because your life is so terrible, I get that. I used to do that too. The last thing and the worst thing that you could do when I was depressed was to try to convince me why my life was so great or why I shouldn't be depressed, because then I would dig in and build up this strong argument about why I was such a loser or why I would never do anything. And the third thing that I would just share, if you are thinking about ending your life or have someone, well, if I'm talking to you, if you're in that place, is there are people out there whose lives are, if they're not already incredibly enriched by you, they will be. Depending on where you are in your life, maybe you're young. And when I say young, I mean under 35, and you're still figuring out who you really are. Maybe you're still gaining the courage to shine your light in the world, which is no shame in that. It is a harsh world. And it seems like there's no other choice but to try to play the game and try to be what you're supposed to be. But eventually, that game grows tiresome and you let your light out, and somebody who can appreciate it will see it. Somebody will see your brilliance, see your uniqueness, and you'll make their world better. You'll give them the courage to let their light out. And you will find a tribe of people. You will find a community of people that is absolutely in love with you, treasures you when you're in a funk, treasures you when you're up, don't want you to be anything but what you are, and are so happy that you exist in the world. And if you're considering suicide, there's a good chance that you don't have that group in your life right now. Either you haven't found them, or some momentary fumble made you feel like they don't like you anymore, or you something. So let me just say, from a 44-year-old man, that you kids, there's a place for you. It may not look like what you've been expecting. And that's part of why it's important to consider, what are your options? If you have to have a life where you have this kind of job and you have this kind of house, and one, there's a whole bunch of scripts in your head that you need to start analyzing and figuring out why and where do those things come from, because they were taught to you. You weren't born feeling like you needed to have a nice house and make a lot of money. And once you start to letting go of the what you think you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do, and you start to actually let out what you are, yes, some people are going to be repelled by that and reject that because they are still subscribed to the scripts, and you are an affront their whole concept of reality. How dare you not take that promotion? How dare you? Because for them to actually look at why you didn't take the promotion means that they have to think about, why did I sacrifice so much of who I am to play this game? So, okay, you're not super happy right now. You're not loving it. Fine. Life is not supposed to be pina coladas on the beach. It's supposed to be a grand adventure. And right now, you are battling a freaking dragon. It's in your head. But you will beat it. And you will be heroic in your epic story. And you will be proud that your journey was a doozy, because getting through all this is going to turn you, convert you, push you to grow and to be the kind of person that is a gift to the world. So thank you for your courage. I look forward to meeting you, maybe many years from now, maybe tomorrow, but stay alive. It's always an option. Maybe try a few things before you tattoo your face. I'm just saying, whatever. There's a lot of choices. Know that I love you. I treasure you on this planet. And even as you are in pain, I don't wish it to be gone from you. I admire your strength as you work through it, because the world needs warriors, and your training is a part of that gift to the world. So thank you for trudging on, and I'll see you on the other side. I love you. Anything that I should have said to people? I have definitely, like, I don't want to belittle suicide too much. And at the same time, I don't want to promote suicide too much. Hopefully that was genuine. Tommy's saying suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Absolutely. And I think that, that's like sometimes a permanent solution to a problem is okay. But I think the number of people that that's accurate for is very, is much less than the people who are actually deciding to take their lives. Welcome everybody who has popped in the chat room. Welcome Ashley and Tommy and John. It's been a long time. Great to see your face, or your picture of your face. You know that if I ever tattoo my face, people are going to check me into a hospital. As well they should. Really, when is a tattoo on your face a good idea? Although maybe if I got like eyebrows that were up like this, so I always look like this, maybe that would be good. Anybody in the chat room lost somebody to suicide? I feel it's an interesting thing about the internet and Facebook is that you have your network of awareness is so wide that I feel like for a moment I was like, oh my gosh, people just keep dying like crazy, and then I was like, oh, actually, people are probably dying at the same rate. It's just that I'm aware of so many more deaths. Oh my gosh, someone's friend last week said, Chrissy, oh man, that sucks. I'm going to try to move this a little bit because the Periscope thing is so small. It's very hard for me to read it. Let's see if this works. All right, I should be able to read that. Oh man, someone died last week. I should also urge that if you decide that you want to take your life, don't jump in front of a train and make your decision a burden on hundreds of people. There are books and websites that can help you be responsible in making that decision. First off, make a different decision. If you do make that decision, be a grown-up about it and minimize the negative impact. Let yourself be remembered for the things that happened good in your life, not for this rash, selfish decision you made at the end. And I know people don't like you to say that suicide is selfish. Okay, fine. But jumping in front of a train, that's flipping selfish. I know that you're sick, and so it's not, it's, so just consult this video and say, right. Okay, Halcyon said no trains. Got it, no trains. Or anything that there's going to be Like if your last gift to the world as a human is a mess, don't be that guy. Anyway, um, sorry to hear about the recent death in your life. Um, can't tell. Is people not chatting, or am I just not seeing it? If you missed the beginning here, this is a little bonus broadcast. I just wanted to kind of ramble a little bit and one address suicide. Also talk about my day. I had this incredible um, gave a talk this morning that was just so much fun and got a standing ovation, which is feels pretty amazing. And and it's just the timing. It's like the universe is being so supportive right now. You know, I might leave my job or lose my job, depending on how you want to look at it, right before Burning Man. Burning Man goes incredible. I have all sorts of affirmation that like I should be doing more of that type of work in the world. Come back to a viral hit, 10 million people see me talking about grandpa in a beautiful way. Give my first talk after I've been telling people, okay, my new narrative is that I'm going to do more speaking and writing. Boom, my first talk, I hit it out of the park. I'm just like, yes, thank you. Oh. Anita says, I think it's important to say that there is help. Medication is not a failure. Talk therapy can be helpful. I wish we could talk more openly about depression. I so agree with that. You know, sorry I didn't meet her in person or digitally. You know, I'm no longer on medication, and so I'm try to be careful about how I speak about medication. You know, I'm happy to not be on medication, but I'm also am not dismissive or judgmental about medication. I think that I do believe that I mean, brain chemistry is a very real thing. If nothing else, being on medication and being able to experience the profound difference that like I tried to get off medication for a long time, and every time I would come off it, I would start to come off it, is this interesting phenomenon that was a huge learning experience. Because what would often happen is I would like forget to take my meds for like 2 days, and then there would be this window of like 2 more days, and then I would hate myself, feel like a loser, and get really testy with everybody. And if I I learned over time that I go, oh wait, I hate everything right now and myself. Did I miss my meds at any point? Because I like I was trying to say, I didn't feel depressed. I just noticed I didn't even notice. I was lucky enough to at some point be self-aware about my judgments and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I know what these are. This now coincides with that medication dip. And it happened enough times that I was able to actually be able to kind of be witness and recognize when my thoughts started to change. And that's one of the things that helped me when I finally got off medication is like, I like part of it is that I would now label it. I go, oh, I'm feeling a funk coming on. You know, I'm feeling like I'm starting to say always and never. I always do this. You never do that. I'm starting to think the world is crappy. And if I'm able to say I'm in a funk, I'm starting to feel a funk, then I can kind of like distance myself from making big decisions, from reevaluating. Because what I used to do is I would get depressed and then I would go into all the stuff in my life and reevaluate it. I would think about my relationships from this dark place. I would think about all of my accomplishments from this dark place. I would think about my choices, and I would come to new conclusions about how terrible I am and how shitty I've done everything. And I learned over time that actually, if I feel the funk coming on, I should watch some Netflix. I should watch a movie. I should tread lightly on my decision-making process because I'm ill-equipped to make a big decision right now. There's smudges on the lens. They don't feel like smudges. They feel real. But I'm going to give myself permission to let this flow through me. And I mentioned, that if somebody tried to argue with me and debate me, and not even debate, from a loving place, they would try to be like, oh my gosh, you've got so much going on. Everybody likes you. You're so talented. Then I would say, well, exactly. I've got all that going on and I still suck. I still haven't written a book. I still haven't succeeded. I must be a huge letdown and loser. Like, you're right. Oh my gosh, you made my, I didn't even think about that. Like, you're right. I'm a bigger loser than I even imagined because I've taken all of these gifts and squandered them. And they're like, no, you, and it's just like, logic was not the way that I could get out of these pits. So yes, Anita, we should be able to talk about depression more. We should be able to talk about suicide. We should be able to admit that we are depressed or have suicidal thoughts, and not have fear that we're going to be put in a category of someone who's broken. One of like the big picture overall kind of awarenesses that I, have been chewing on lately is that everybody is more fucked up than you think. I would guess. In fact, I'm gonna just propose, and you can tell me that nope. You can argue with me, but I would think that nobody knows you as well as yourself, and you have things about yourself that, if you really sit and look at it, are super fucked up. Whether they're crazy thoughts or weird sexual fantasies or repeating thoughts or old memories or whatever, like, you have these wacky things or desires, and it's you may not even admit it to yourself, but it's certainly like nobody knows that much about you. As you find people that you trust, as you have loved ones, you might share more and more of these things. And the more people that you get to know deeply, the more you realize everybody's crazy. You keep it in check and you practice and you act as best you can in the world. But that's not broken. That's human. The nature of human consciousness is so conflicted, and so much doubt and so much fear and so much weirdness. It's just what being a human is. And yet, as a culture, we expect people to be polished and pretty and perfect. It's why politicians are such a joke, because they have to go out there and 24/7 act and talk as if they have no problems, that they are this scripted, cartoonish version of a human being. And it's why we have so many examples of politicians then in their behind the scenes are, gays are sin. Meanwhile, I'm getting high on bath salts and, meeting up with, gay escorts. Or like, there's just so many examples of people who act to the world according to this lily white, overly sanitized sense of what we think a human's supposed to be. And then in their private lives are just off the rails. And the reality is we're all off the rails. But if you have the ability to be honest, then you can kind of explore the tools to keep you in check. Just like you're saying with suicide. Yeah, it's okay to admit that you have those thoughts. Then you can access the tools. You can have the conversations to kind of get yourself back in alignment so you don't actually make that choice. But if you can never talk about the fact that you can't stop thinking about penises, then you spew out this anti-gay stuff and troll bathhouses in your off time and live in this insane doubt, fear, lack of integrity. And how can you be of service in the world when you're doing that? I know that I'm not speaking to everybody. I'm sure everybody here is not trolling bathhouses, but whatever, like, your gift, your path, your warrior journey is learning to get in tune with all of your weird stuff, all of your thoughts, all of your fears and your doubts and your kinks and your freakiness, and then being a good person in the world anyway, not giving up, not being selfish, not turning blinders on and pretending to be something that you're not because this pretend thing is free from judgment. And I don't want, no, the warrior path is figuring out what you really are, freaking all. There was a part of our a camp, Julia in our camps has did this workshop on let your freak flag fly. And we even had a freak booth, part of the Carnival of Mirrors at Burning Man. And you go in and it was filled with mirrors. And part of the project was like, yes, we're all freaks. Yes. Like, own it. It's actually the thing that makes you interesting and cool. The most beautiful thing about you is the thing that is the weirdest and the wackiest. The most honest expression of you is the most beautiful gift you can give to the world. It's contrary to the script. It's contrary. There are people that will judge you if you run for office and you are honest about who you are. You know, there's enough people that are still so stuck in that paradigm that they knee-jerk judge you. I mean, people that have secret lives and S&M dungeons in their house will still vote against somebody that admits to any sort of kink sexually because they have not found alignment with their true selves and the charade they play. Mr. Rogers taught you that when you're in preschool. He taught you about the S&M dungeons. I didn't see that episode. I'm just kidding. I know we're probably talking about different things. Anyway, did I get off on a rant? I've been known to do just that. My point is that you're awesome. And at the end of the day, you're the only judge that matters. Chrissy says, what makes you different is what makes you special. Right. Yeah, that's the Mr. Rogers. And unfortunately, that's an idea that you actually have to feel and not be told. You know, I heard that from Mr. Rogers, but I didn't actually get it until much later. And in fact, the internet was a huge part of what I think gave me the power and the strength, because I was very lucky in early days of the internet as I started to kind of expose more and share more and be more vulnerable. I received so much love in response from people who are reading and tuning in. And so that then when the world decides that they want to throw a judgment, I had this knowledge that, well, not everybody thinks that I'm this. And that, you know, part of that is the recognition that if you are honest with who you are, if you shine your true light in the world, there's only two like legitimate responses. One from somebody on the outside is that's awesome, that's beautiful. The other is that's not a flavor or a thing that I particularly resonate with. But to be angry or to be judgmental about someone being who they are, is someone allowing their truth to shine. It's like a flower being upset or dismissing a color of a flower or the shape of a flower, or hating on a species of bird. It's like, it's just the way it is. That's how it was created, in the perfection of the universe. You are arguing with the perfection of the universe? No, you are projecting your doubts, your fears. You're projecting all of your ugliness onto this beautiful, perfect thing. And when you get that, then you can start to go, oh, that thing that was yelled from that car as it went by, that had nothing to do with me. That person is yelling at the shape of the clouds like an idiot, like someone who is in need of some love and some healing. So try to shift it and turn it around and show compassion towards these lost people and recognize that they are, that judgment, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Anyway, um, thank you guys for tuning in on this makeshift Tuesday broadcast. I I'm feeling super inspired by life right now. I love you too. I'm really I keep getting asked, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do next? And it's like, I don't know, more of this, I think. Whatever gets the opportunities just feel like I'm going to do a combination of being open to opportunities and then doing the work to maximize those. For example, at this talk today, I realized as I was getting ready to go, I'm like, oh, I don't have any business cards. That would be an example of like, I need to do the work. I need to show up. I need to do my job, and I need to do the work. And some of that is getting my website up. Some of that is reaching out to people that have offered help. Some of that is, putting together some testimonials. Some of that is getting business cards. And I just like, if this week has taught me anything or hammered anything home, it's that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, surrender, have integrity, be present, align with love, speak my truth, and everything is going to work out better than I can imagine. So thank you for being a part of that path and that journey and that affirmation. Thank you for being here today. Well, I will reach back out to you, Chrissy, because I'll be honest, I am underwater with messages on Facebook right now. The downside to this amazing week has been I've been unable to reply and connect with as many people as I would like to. I've been just kind of skimming the surface of all the activities. I will try to reach back. Thank you. Or if you're around a computer, shoot me another note. But be well to you too, John. Good to see you, Tommy and Ashley. Oh, I did reply. Okay. Well, thank you for the reminder then. See, I'm a basket case. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for being you. Thanks for everything. I am going to hopefully get some of this stuff archived and online, or not. The point is that we're here and we shared this. Glad you are here too, Nablos Roth. Thank you for being my spiritual chiropractor this afternoon. Dude, if you have a second, could you send a note to john@stin.net and like with a little testimonial like that, like listening to Hug Nation is like a visit to a spiritual chiropractor or something like that. I'm trying to get testimonials for speaking. I've got testimonials for like life coaching, but I'm trying to get testimonials for speaking. And so if something pops in your head, less about Hug Nation, like a webcast, but if you can phrase it in a way, it can be these webcasts, but phrase in a way that would apply to somebody who's like deciding if they're going to book a keynote speaker. Oh, and that's me being a little needy because part of my path right now is making sure that I ask for things that I want because I want to be as effective a servant of love as possible. So thank you. Love you, love you, love you. Have a beautiful week. I'll see you next Monday or sooner. Who knows? I can't commit to that.